On our morning show get together today, we're talking about a subject I don't believe that we've ever talked about in the history of this program, but sarcoidosis is what we're talking about today, and kind of specifically Mark's Imprint on Sarcoidosis, who is, we're going to talk about that here today. But in the studio, we have Shanda Trumm, we have Lacey Hamill, and we have Rodney Gokenauer, and we're going to talk about how they all became connected. But first of all, we're going to talk about this disease a little bit. Lacey, can you tell us a little bit, fill us in on what we're talking about today?
Sure. Sarcoidosis is an inflammatory disease characterized by the formation of granulomas. Granulomas are tiny clumps of inflammatory cells that can affect one or more organs of the body.
Shanda, can you kind of fill us in a little bit on what it involves and what we're talking about?
Essentially, the immune system goes into overdrive, and too many of these clumps form. They can interfere with an organ structure and function.
You both had no clue on this kind of thing until you had life kind of changed for you, right, Shanda?
That is correct. I had never heard of sarcoidosis before until we got my brother's autopsy back.
We'll talk more about that. Rodney Gokenauer is in the studio, and you may wonder how he's connected, why he's connected. Good morning, Rodney, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about how this affected you personally.
Well, I seen Shanda's article in the county paper and read it and decided I needed to get a hold of her and tell her that I had it. I have never heard of anybody else in this area with it. So I'd like to find out if there is.
So the disease is fairly rare then?
Yes. And I don't think the doctors do enough diagnostics to go far enough to find it. They'll just say you got asthma and hand you a inhaler, yeah.
Okay.
And that's as far as it goes. But I was diagnosed in December of '71.
My goodness! So you've lived with this a long time,
right?
Actually.
Yeah, we were just getting ready to go to town one night, and I went to brush my hair, and I reached for the brush, and I got a real sharp pain in my chest. It hurt so bad, I just screamed. And of course, my wife wouldn't let me do anything but go to the doctor, you know. And the doctor wanted me in University Hospital yet that day. But I got a barn full of cows to milk, you know. So he says, I'll give you 2 days. So I found somebody, and I spent a week in the UW hospital. So,
did you have surgery at that time, Rodney?
They just did a little biopsy here. And that's pretty much what decided that I had sarcoidosis.
So maybe it's more common now. I mean, you can look it up on the internet or whatever, but it was probably pretty rare in 1971 too, wasn't it?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So you have went on to live a normal life despite having this.
They put me on prednisone, kept building me up to where I think I was taking 12 tablets a day. And finally I come out one day with a handful and told my wife, says, I just can't do this anymore. So the next time I went for a checkup, I told the doctor, and he says, I think we can start backing you off. You can't just stop. You have to go off gradual. And it put it in remission, and I've been in remission ever since.
Yeah.
I just had a checkup here just 2 or 3 months ago, and he said there was no activity to be found at that time. So
you got to consider yourself pretty fortunate, don't you?
Right, real fortunate.
That you've gone on and you farmed all those years and everything else. Because farming's not the easiest occupation,
no.
Honestly. Well, good to have you in the studio here today. I want to talk to you, Shanda, a little bit more about Mark's Imprint on Sarcoidosis and how did it start?
This nonprofit was formed in honor of my brother, who tragically lost his life due to undiagnosed sarcoidosis. My brother, Mark, passed away in February of 24 from sudden cardiac arrhythmia due to sarcoidosis. A little about Mark. He was 41 years old. We grew up in a farm in southwest Wisconsin in Boscoville with our parents. Mark took over our family farm from our dad. Since he could walk, Mark was my dad's shadow farming together. At the time of his passing, he had grown his herd to over 200 head of beef cattle and just stopped milking Holstein cows 2 weeks prior. Mark was a husband, father, grandfather, son, and brother. He was loved and respected by many. I, along with family and friends, have joined together to bring awareness to this disease in hopes no one has to go through what we have gone through. And a fun fact, today is Mark's birthday.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So the timing is here. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Great memories of your brother, obviously. It's so hard when somebody passes that suddenly, though.
Yeah.
Isn't it? But you've been able to kind of, I guess, what would the word be? Kind of rehabilitate a little bit and
Yep.
kind of, have his memory live on, right?
Yep. And although it was tragic, Mark died doing what he loved. He was actually on a farm looking at a pasture to rent. So he literally died doing what he loved.
When you talk about this, then you probably had no clue of ever hearing of this disease, did you?
No. Nope. I have never heard of it before. So Google was my friend for a couple weeks after I found out.
You've done some fundraisers, haven't you?
We have done some fundraisers. Last fall, we did a breakfast at the Boscoville Bowling Alley, which we had a live and silent auction. And this past April, we did a scavenger hunt in Boscoville.
Just to raise some money and
Yep,
awareness?
to raise some money, awareness. We donated some money to the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research, which is a national nonprofit that does clinical trials trying to find a cure.
When your article, your story appeared in the paper and people like Rodney heard about it, did you have other people reach out to you as well?
Yes, I have. Yep, I had some people reach out to me that live in Boscoville or around Boscoville, and then I had some people reach out to me that lived up by La Crosse and Holman.
Okay. Now, that's amazing that, again, you don't know that anybody else has anything in common, and all of a sudden you discover that it's
Yeah.
more common than you think.
Yeah. It's strange that you've never heard of it, but yet so many people have it.
Your brother died suddenly. Rodney is able to survive it. Is there a reason?
In Mark's situation, it was more that he was undiagnosed. He had symptoms. He had been to the doctor just prior to that. But like Rodney had stated before, they were working him up. He was diagnosed with asthma. They were working him up for sleep apnea. They were maybe perhaps on the right track, just hadn't done enough yet, and then time ran out.
People are listening today, Lacey. What's the way that they can get involved or maybe learn more or help out the cause?
Great question. There are many different ways that listeners can get involved and help us. Educate yourself, like Shanda and I have done with Google. Learn the basics. Check out our website, Marks Imprint on Sarcoidosis. You can participate in awareness campaigns. April is Sarcoidosis Awareness Month. Wear purple in honor of sarcoidosis. Support local organizations, the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research. We are also on social media, so Facebook. Our Facebook page is Marks Imprint on Sarcoidosis. Share your story. Let people know that this is not as rare as we think it is.
Good to get people out there and educated and whatnot. Your brother, Mark, I'm guessing, what would he think if he knew about all this stuff? Shanda?
I'm not for sure. Hopefully he would be happy that we're trying to help him.
Reach out and help others, too.
Yeah, help others.
Obviously, yeah. Rodney, as you hear their story, I guess, and you read about it earlier, but it made a deep impression on you, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And I think, me getting in with them, if I can help one person even get diagnosed, why, it's worth it to me.
You were off the medicine then. Do you have to take any medicine for it now?
No.
You don't?
No.
Wow. Is it common, like you mentioned you had that rough pain there, but what are some other symptoms that you had or that people could be looking out for?
Mine is calcium deposits on the lungs. My lungs are just all scarred, and I have pneumonia quite easily because of all the scar tissue.
Yeah, that's rough. And then during COVID too, I'm sure you were pretty paranoid about that as well, weren't you?
Just try to be careful so that not this last fall, but the fall before. I don't do much deer hunting, but I went a little bit Saturday, Sunday, a little while Monday, and our son got a deer, so I picked it up with the tractor and loader and took it down to the house, and he said, I'll just skin it out. By the time he got done, I was starting to chill, and I ended up in the hospital that night with pneumonia.
Came on that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do have to be careful.
Right.
It sounds like, yeah. As far as, Shanda, any other symptoms or anything like that people need to be aware of and things like that?
Some of the symptoms could be dry, persistent cough, joint pain, swollen lymph nodes, a skin rash, because you can have it on your skin. You can have it on your lungs. Most commonly, it's in your lungs, but you can have it in any organ of your body. It can be present. For your eyes, blurry vision. For your skin, rashes, like we had said, a difficult time breathing.
Is this something that, like a family tree, like a family history, or do you know anything about that?
I don't think they can link it to genetics yet, but your body could have a predisposition to cause your body to react to different environmental triggers.
What are your goals for the future? Do you have some things coming up that you'd like to share today?
Well, we are planning our next event, which is in November. It will be a breakfast again at the Basketball Bowling Alley. And then in April, we'll have our other big event, but there's more to come on that. We can't share that information yet. If you're wondering why we do big events in April, it is because April is recognized as Sarcoidosis Awareness Month worldwide. Locally in 2025, the communities of Boscobel and Lancaster signed into proclamation that April is Sarcoidosis Awareness Month within the towns. In 2019, Governor Evers signed a proclamation in Wisconsin that also recognizes April as Sarcoidosis Awareness Month within the state.
So with that, we're looking forward to hearing more about that and publicizing your events. Do you raise money for any certain thing or for some sort of research?
Right now we're raising money to supply the hospitals and the clinics with educational information. Some of the money raised in our April event, we donated to the Foundation of Sarcoidosis Research to find a cure, hopefully.
Yeah, find a cure. That's down the road. It's one of those things where it seems to me, you sit here and think, well, they should have one by now.
You would think so, but it's so hard because this disease mimics so many other different diseases that if you're not diagnosed properly, there is no cure because they're not digging any deeper.
Right. Hard to diagnose and catch, isn't it?
Yes.
So, yeah. Anything else that you'd like to add, Lacey, in terms of Mark's Imprint?
To elaborate off some of the things that we have done, we have partnered with area hospitals of Boscobel and Lancaster communities. So when Shanda said that we're trying to supply them with educational materials, we're really trying to work with those providers to keep them abreast of the diagnosis so that they start thinking about that when people are walking in their door, that they're doing a full workup, and just making them more aware of sarcoidosis. As a provider, we're optimistic that we will get some more diagnosis underway, which will then help us in the long run to find a cure.
More people surviving it as well.
Yes.
Is the goal.
Yes, definitely.
Do you have a newsletter? Is that something that's in the works?
It's in the works.
It is in the works, yes.
Mm-hmm. And what do you plan to have in that, or what's the goal of that?
The goal of that is just to have any information that we are doing within the communities, any updates that we have, anything nationwide or worldwide that people are, what's the word?
Looking for updates or
Yes.
resources or how to get support. Some people are very debilitated from sarcoidosis and need financial support. And so finding those resources to help those people is one of our goals as well.
There are some now. Rodney was a farmer. Some occupations where this could trigger more than others.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's kind of it's interesting. Somebody that works around chemicals or dusty areas, is that something that can trigger it?
Yes, that can trigger it, but there is not a definite link between sarcoidosis and farming, but it can be linked to dust and metal dust and pesticides and mold. All that can be linked to sarcoidosis.
Good to learn about it. Rodney, anything else that you wanted to add today?
I can't really think of anything outside of, I've really been fortunate with the doctors that I've had. There was a new doctor at Risson Center back when I went in. He had come here from some other place just to help, and he's the one that said, you got to be in UW. And then there was a Dr. DiPoco and Dr. Brown, and they were all really just great doctors. They did a lot of research on me. Then there would be classes from the UW coming and work on me to get different answers and what.
They saved your life.
Yeah. Yeah, if I wouldn't have had that one pain that night, I might not be here.
Right. But you're farming and you're, in dust and you're in, I don't know, fly sprays for the cows and all kinds of things, right? But no real answer as to why you got it.
And how long I've had it, I can't tell you. I was just diagnosed in 71, so.
Yeah. Well, you've lived a long life as a result. There. Hopefully, if somebody hears our broadcast today, maybe there's somebody out there that might be having some of those symptoms. Hopefully, we help somebody.
Yeah, Shanda, don't you think you'd like to have them get a hold of us?
Yes, if you could get a hold of me at donorsupport@marksimprint.org, or you can reach out to us through the Facebook page on Messenger.
Okay. We're going to talk to Mike in just a little bit. Shanna, can you give us a little update on Mike?
So Mike is my brother's longtime friend. They were best friends, and I think they still are best friends. Mike lives in North Carolina, and like all of us, I don't think Mike knew much about sarcoidosis before Mark.
So he's learned about it, and he's kind of become an expert as well then.
Yes.
So, good. Well, we'll give him a call and look forward to talking with him. Lacey, anything else you'd like to add today?
That is it. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you guys coming in here today, and keep us posted when you have some of those big events so we can put it on our community calendar and everything.
We will do that. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, you bet. No problem. So talking today about sarcoidosis, and we're learning a little bit more about it, and we'll check in with Mike in just a bit. Lacey Hamill, Shanda Trumm, and Rodney Gokenauer in this part of the morning show. Our morning show continues. On the phone with us is Mike Updike, former resident of Boscobel, and joining us today talking about Marks Imprint, Mark Trumm. Mike, how long did you know Mark?
So I've known Mark for probably my entire life. We went to kindergarten together, and then we grew up together throughout high school, and then when I went away to the military, we still kept in touch throughout all these years. So I knew him, since he was 5 years old.
So this was certainly a shock to you and all the friends of Mark, and I think you're kind of using that as a little bit of motivation now to move ahead and try to maybe make sure that someone else doesn't succumb to this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest things we want to do is just make sure to raise awareness and really look at how we can help with the research activities that are going on, and inform people that this is a real disease, and we're finding more and more if it's untreated, then it could have catastrophic effects.
And yeah, you've learned a lot about it. Anything that sticks out, from the research that you have done on sarcoidosis?
So I think really, the symptoms remain hidden for a long time, and there's so many different symptoms. It's hard to pinpoint, and I think that's what shocked us most about Mark is he had shown some symptoms throughout his lifetime, but we just individually looked at him rather than holistically. So I think that's probably what surprises me the most.
Tell us about Mark's Imprint and from your standpoint, what it focuses on.
So, educating the community. I think we have really looked at the farming community, and specifically for the Future Farmers of America program, trying to educate, as young as we can, so we can help identify things as they get older, and just go and get it checked out and rule, sarcoidosis out of what could be wrong.
I think all of us, maybe I kind of am guilty of being a hypochondriac, but, sometimes you have those little aches and pains, and I'm guessing Mark was no different. It was like, oh, okay, that's just something, I'll let it pass. But sometimes, you got to take it serious, don't you?
Absolutely. And, my grandfather was a farmer his entire life, and, farmers can be pretty stubborn. So, when they do have those minor aches and pains, they oftentimes don't go to the doctor. So, that's really one of the things is just go to get it checked out. It's too easy, and rule it out so you don't have events like this happen later in your life.
I know that you have done some great things so far in the early days of Mark's Imprint. Can you tell us a little bit about the FFA and that correlation, Mike?
Yeah, so one of the programs that we're really looking at doing is to help spread awareness is investing in the FFA program, starting there in Boscobel. And we're raising money to help send them to, their national and state conventions. While they're at the national and state conventions, we have developed these, I call them baseball cards, but it's more of a information pamphlet, and it's got Mark's picture on it. And what we're asking these folks to do is just spread awareness and talk about Mark's story, and help other people recognize the symptoms. And I think it's been a huge success so far. We're also helping the FFA build a little farming piece of land there in Boscobel, just to help raise awareness and continue to educate our younger population.
If people are listening today, Mike, and they'd like to donate or help out the cause, is there a place where they can go to help out?
Oh, absolutely. So obviously our website is easy to find, Marks Imprint on sarcoidosis.org. They can go there. They can reach out to any one of myself, Shanda, or Lacey, and we can point them in the right direction. But our website is running, and that's the easiest way to donate and actually get more information about sarcoidosis.
So you're out of state, obviously. Are you spreading the word in your neck of the woods as well?
Yes, sir. So, since Mark passed, I've started raising a little bit of awareness here in North Carolina. Not as prevalent, but, as I talk to people here, nobody really knows about sarcoidosis. So, I think it's a national issue. It's nice just to be able to do our part, being exposed. Tragic accident, yes, but now we can better inform, the rest of our communities.
What can you tell us about Mark since you knew him so long? Great friend, obviously. Anything else you'd like to say about him that you remember?
Yeah, so, Mark was first of all, one of the kindest, gentlest persons that you could ever know, but, his passion was farming, and he ended up taking over the farm from his father, and that was his entire life. He built that farm and he helped expand that farm throughout Boscobel. But that was one of his biggest passions in helping the community. A huge advocate for the farmers in and around the area, and a huge advocate for FFA. So that's kind of why we ventured toward helping the FFA for it.
Well, that sounds good, Mike. We appreciate you taking time to join us this morning. Anything else you'd like to add as we look ahead at some of the upcoming things that you've got going for Marks Imprint?
Yep. So just keep a lookout. We have the pancake breakfast in November, and then next April we're going to do another event, and we're pretty excited about it. We don't want to release any information about it yet. Looking forward to that, and we'll post it as soon as we get the final details out. But that'll happen in April, as April is the sarcoidosis Remembrance Month. So just keep lookout, and please reach out if anybody has any questions or wants more details on the foundation.
All right, Mike. Thanks for taking time to talk to us today, and good luck to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mike Updike joining us on WRCO from Carolinas, joining us on the phone from WRCO talking about Marks Imprint.